Hello and welcome to yet another edition of the Students Platform Talk on Education Forum. This program is coming to you live from the St. Vian's VIP magazine. And my name is Palayan K. Of course, it has been a long break due to the Tobaski celebration, and I hope you've enjoyed the break. Today, my guest in the building is no one other than Keba Sonko Ba. Of course, Keba is a young and dynamic teacher who has been in the classroom toiling and moiling to impact change as far as teaching and learning is concerned. Keba is also a student from the University of the Gambia studying law. Keba, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Gay, for the invitation. I say good morning to everyone there watching. I am also saying thank you to St. Bia's VIP magazine. It has been a wonderful one. Yeah, so it is an honor to be invited here today to talk on the factors that are affecting the proper teaching and learning of literature in upper basic and senior secondary school. It was like Tobaski, and we hope like everyone enjoyed their Tobaski.
Thank you. So Keba, by virtue of your diverse experience in teaching literature in English, what are some of the most challenging aspects that you have encountered in the teaching of literature in English?
That is a very good question. Unlike other areas, literature in English is an area that many students like fear, and that is due to some reasons which I'll be like highlighting later. And it is an area that many students at times are with the fear that it is difficult, and they have failed to understand that literature is an area that really teaches people a lot of things about our society, because it is basically about the reflection of man's life in the society. But it is an area that is being like feared by people or students, and many a times teachers also like fail to go to the area, or even some of them who like go to the area or who are engaged there find it very hard to deliver up to expectation. Yeah, so one of the reasons might be some of them will just go in for it, maybe out of persuasion of others, but the passion might not be there. They might just be persuaded by maybe their colleagues to go or to venture into it, or maybe the passion will be lacking. And if that is lacking, there is no way they can deliver up to expectation. And at times that is what disturbs like the delivery aspect of it when it comes to the school curriculum.
The other thing that I want us to look at, you have English language specialists who are trained to be teaching English language in schools. And when you look at the training process at the Gambia College, you realize that as you are doing or majoring English language at the college, it is compulsory for you to do literature as a subject. And then now, what happens usually when those English teachers are posted to schools, some of them will shy away from taking the responsibility to teach literature in English. What's your reflection on that?
Yeah, it is very true. At times it happens that way, and many a times like students who like come from the senior school, or let's say from the junior school, some of them maybe have never done literature in their educational career, and when they come to the college, like when we were at the college, that is what used to happen, and I don't know whether it still happens there. They will be asked to major English language, and in majoring English language, there are three aspects that are looked at. The first is like methodology. The other one is like language studies, which test students or teacher trainees on grammar, the grammar side of English language. But literature is also a part of it. So some of those students who will come from the senior school and now they want to be teachers would be there, and they will just be like doing it, managing it, but the passion will be lacking. And they will not be fully equipped with the necessary or with the requisite knowledge of literature. At the end of the day, the same students who are now trained will be sent to the schools to go and teach literature. And that's why many a times it disturbs them a lot, because they have not been fully equipped with the necessary knowledge of literature. and they'll be given the opportunity to go and teach like the students at school. That's why at times delivery becomes a problem, because they will not be able to deliver up to expectation. Their delivery might just be like 40%, and when they're expected to deliver more than that. So at the end of the day, you don't expect students to understand it to that to the max, because already they are taught by someone who has not understood the area to the max. So it becomes a problem. That's why at times it affects like the GABECA results. It also affects the performance of students in WAS examination. So it becomes a problem. So that's why I think teachers are expected to be like passionate about the area. Let them venture into the area with the passion, and let them like read to make sure that they have understood the area to their fingertip.
Thank you very much. In your discussion, you made mention of methodology. I think that aspect is very important, because looking at it, you have some literature teachers who actually use that kind of methods to teach the subject, and you realize that sometimes students will not follow track or will not be in line with on what is required in terms of performance. What are some of those methods that you believe, if literature teachers are definitely using, it will help to ease or help students to perform very well in the subject?
Very good, very good. The methodology and the pedagogy to teach literature might not be that complicated, might not be that complex. It is just for an individual to love and cherish and adore the area that is literature in English. And many a times I think poor methods of teaching literature might have also contributed to the poor performance of students in examination, be it internal or external. And at times teachers also fail to expose the students to deep analysis, because literature has to do with analysis. Students have to be there like to, I will always tell my students they have to like crack their critical faculty if they really want to do literature. So at times the method that I've been seeing, because I've also been engaged in a lot of like research work, at times I'll be going to some schools. But to my dismay, I've been seeing things that are not actually proper. That is, when it comes to the teaching of literature.
Things
like at times what I will see is a teacher will tell a student, okay, read this like chapter or read this paragraph, then the teacher will go and explain it. And after that, it is over. In that way, you are making it boring. You are making the teaching of the subject boring. And at the end of the day, the students will even start like losing interest. And that is what I even call literary apathy. They even lack interest.
Wait a minute, it is a common method that most literature teachers use, asking students in the classroom to read, and then as they are reading, you are explaining.
Exactly.
I think it's something that is very, very common.
Yeah.
As you are saying, it's really a concern, and then literature teachers should look into it.
They should really look into it.
Yeah.
Because looking at the methods that used to be used, and if you still want to employ those methods now, it might not work, because the generation like differ, and the caliber of students we used to have and the caliber of students we are now having, like they are like different. You know, those archaic methods of teaching, you know, cannot be used now. New methods of teaching literature are available. That is, you allow the students to go home and read the text, understand the text, invite them, like the book I say, invite them in the class, have a discussion with them. This is about, you know, it's like a banter bar. Expose them to some of those things. It's not okay, you just telling them read, then you just go and explain and it ends. Because many of them will have the belief that anything that is not in the textbook or that is not in like the novel is not what is to be followed. That is that is a perception they will end up having. But you expose them to that. Give them the text, like the novel or like the play. Tell them, go home, read it, understand it fully well, come back to class, then you discuss with them. You give them work, they will do it, then you correct their errors and their mistakes. And if that happens, I feel, and because that's the method I've been using honestly over the years, and I have seen a lot of like improvement when it comes to the students' performance, even in like WAS, they have been performing extremely well, and I feel the method really works. So that is what I would advise them to work on.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Just to remind you, viewers, it's the Students Platform Talk on Education. segment or forum coming to you live from the St. Vian's VIP magazine, and my name is Pana NK. Our topic of discussion is centered on the factors affecting the proper teaching and learning of literature in English in our upper basic and senior secondary school. Okay, Keba Sonko, we'll have to look at the common questions that are usually asked, the way the questions are framed by the exam council. Sometimes you see questions that appears to be like compare and contrast, state the character of so and so. You know, can you give us those details of some of those things? That
yes, yes. It is. I always tell my students that literature is unlike other areas in which you will be asked to name, in which you will be asked to list. But in literature, there are a lot of like questions have to do with like compare and contrast, like elaborate, you know, discourse, you know, like
describe.
Yes, how, you know, consider, describe. These are all things that are asked, and in that, what students fail to understand is it does not have to do with like narration. Already, let's say the novel that is given to you is called like Faceless. There is this novel called Faceless by a woman called Amadako.
Okay.
Already it is narrated to you. So you repeating the same thing is like you are not adding any substance as to what you are asked to do. It's like you are carbon copying. You are like writing directly what has been stated. And that is what has been affecting students. But if you have read a line or if you have read like a page in that novel, you go on understanding it very well. Compare it to what happens in our real life situation. That is the most important thing about it. But many times, even if you go through the reports of the exam, like the chief examiners, you will realize that this is something that they have been emphasizing. That when students are asked to write something, they just go on narrating instead of analyzing. And analysis has to do with what you have read, compare it to what happens in our real life situation, but with tangible reasons as well. You are able to defend yourself. It's not like you coming up with something without like defending it, but you come up with something, you defend it with tangible reasons. And if you do that, then you have become a very good analyst. It's not like you being a narrator, because it is already narrated to you. So it's for you to substantiate what has been narrated, compare it to what happens, and contrast it to what happens. Then you are analyzing, you are answering the question now, not just to answer a question that way. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Keba. Yes, the other aspect is the availability of the literature text materials or books. We have realized that like in a number of years, WAEC will come up with a new set of books. Sometimes I think there used to be, I can see some level of confusion or misunderstanding from the teachers who are handling or teaching literature in English, because they don't know that every 5 years there will be a new set of literature in English textbook that will be introduced. So it's happening, and some teachers do not actually know that every year or every 5 years new sets of books will be introduced. I could remember when I was at St. Peter's during our days, literature used to be one of my best subjects. We were in grade 10. There was this teacher who was teaching us literature in grade 10. But after grade, when we were moving to grade 11, what happened was like I did grade 10 twice. Like I repeated grade 10. When I was at St. Peter's, I was doing literature in English, and it used to be my best subject. So there was a new set of books that were supposed to be introduced. The literature teacher who was teaching us before was saying that those books are not interesting at all. So meaning maybe he did not have an in-depth knowledge in the books that are coming. So what happened was he left the school, and then we received another new teacher, and that teacher was the one who was teaching us. I think these are some of the challenges or problems that happen sometimes in school. What's your take on that?
Yes, it is one of those impediments when it comes to the advancement of the teaching and learning of literature. As you rightly said, every 5 years, like the syllabus is changed, in which new books are introduced. And not only new books, but you even have new poems. Like in the junior category, you have 8 poems that are part of the syllabus, and you have like books that are there, and one of them is like the Shakespearean play. Right now, some of those students who are in grade 9 are doing Merchant of Venice, but for the students who are in like grade 7 and grade 8 will be doing As You Like It. It's also a Shakespearean play. So if you go to the senior school, you realize that you have about 12 poems, in which like 6 of them are African and the 6 are non-African. And you also have books, about 5 of them, in which one of them is a Shakespearean play. Currently they are doing like Othello. And many a times the teachers will not even realize that. Some teachers will not even realize. Because there was a particular school that I went on a particular day. I met a teacher teaching students like poems that have already like that are not for their standard, that are not for their grade, for other grades.
Okay.
They are teaching grade 7 poems like Nightfall in Soweto, and this is a poem that should be done by the grade 9s now, from 8 going to 9. And these are things these are anomalies that are happening. Yes, because already the syllabus or the book has expired or the poem has expired. Still the teacher will not be of like knowledge of that. The teacher will not understand that. That's why I believe every teacher is not only literature, but should be au fait with the syllabus, with the curriculum. You know, should be able to like update him or herself with regards to those areas, so that there'll be no like confusion when it comes to the delivery aspect of it.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. What would you say to be the good qualities of a literature in English teacher?
Okay. As a literature in English teacher, one, you must be active, because literature does not like tolerate like laziness. Literature has to do with like you being active in like reading books, and after reading the books, you being able to understand the books. And a literature teacher is also expected to be like interactive. That is, when you are with the students, you are expected to bring in some jokes at times, not at all times, because it makes it boring when they are too much. So at times, like bringing in jokes, because there's an aspect in drama called comedy. So comedy has to do with like entertainment, has to do with fun. So a literature teacher does not have to be someone who is like who isolates him or herself. You have to be there to interact with the students. That is when you will even know their problems. And you also have to be open up to criticism. I think these are the qualities that a literature teacher needs. You have to be like up to date. I always tell my students that you have to be part of the society for you to be able to do literature, because it is about our society. That's why some educationists will call it the mirror of the society. It is through literature that people can know what happens in our society, the bad things that are happening in our society, the cruel things that are happening in our society. It is through literature that all of those things can be known. Yes.
Okay. I think when you look at literature, in essence, you realize that it has to do with having the culture or building that culture of reading. And when you look at our setup in the Gambia, you realize that most people don't have that, that interest in reading, and it is affecting the system, particularly in the schools, where students feel lazy to take up or buy a copy of a textbook and read and understand what is contained in that book. I think, what's your reflection as far as teaching of literature is concerned?
Exactly, and that is why at times some of them will even run away from literature, because already they would have been told that okay, literature involves reading, but it should be like understood by people that it is when you read that you know. If you don't read, you don't know much. That's why the wisest person in academia is he who reads a lot. If you read widely, you know more. You will not be someone who will just come, okay, say one thing and you are stopped. No, but if you have read wide, that is the time that you will be able to defend your points. So reading has to be a culture adopted by individuals. It is not only literature. Even though literature is like everything of reading. As a teacher or as a student of literature, reading should be your hobby. It should be like a game that you play every time. It should be like football or like volleyball. You have to be doing it at all times, because when you keep on doing it, it becomes part and parcel of you. Yes.
Yes, Keba, finally, what would be your advice to the students, teachers, even the administrators when it comes to the teaching and learning of literature in English?
Okay, my piece of advice goes to first the administration. That is, they should be there to give the support to the teachers and as well to the students in making sure that there is efficient, that there is effective and proper teaching and learning of literature in English. So to the teachers, I will tell them to keep on reading and keep on being part of the society and keep on coming up with new methods of teaching literature, and for so there'll be improved performance of students in examination, be it Gabeke or worse. So to the students, I would tell them to be passionate, to be enthusiastic about the area because it is an interesting area. Okay. Yes.
All right, thank you very much, viewers. That does it for the end of our today's edition of the Students Platform Talk on Education Forum, coming to you live from the Sambians VIP magazine. And my name is Palai Gay. Until we come your way next time, bye-bye and have a nice day.